Hey guys, welcome back to Next Level Gardening. I'm Brian. Today we're diving into a fascinating and effective gardening technique. One that you may not have tried yet, and that is winter sowing. Let me know in the comments if you've done winter sowing and what your experience was with it. Winter sowing is a great way to get a head start on your gardening season. It's surprisingly easy and cheap. It doesn't involve taking up any indoor space, grow lights, heat mats, and you don't have to deal with fungus gnats. Ready? Let's get growing. So what exactly is winter sowing? Simply put, it's a method where you sow seeds in mini greenhouses made from recycled containers. You put them outside during the winter. If they need to be cold stratified, which a lot of seeds do that are growing at this time of year, especially perennials, that automatically happens, and your seeds know exactly when it's time to sprout. They wait until the conditions are right and you don't have to worry about it. To get started with winter sowing, you need a few basic materials. I'm going to show you two ways to do this. For the first way, grab some recycled containers like milk jugs or soda bottles. You'll also need potting soil, seeds, labels, duct tape, and a pair of scissors and/or a knife. Now let's head over to the sowing table and we'll walk you through this step by step. So we're going to begin with the traditional way using containers like these, anything clear. This seems to be the most popular, so that's what we're going to work on. First thing you want to do is put drainage holes in the bottom. It's easy to do that with a knife. I'm just going to give it a stab and a little twist. That should do it. Now we're going to make this into a hingeable open top, if that makes sense. So I'm not going to cut right here. So I'm going to stab a little bit here and then use my scissors and cut it all the way around. You want a good, 3 to 4 inches here to plant in. And when we get close to the handle again, we're going to stop and leave about an inch, inch and a half of a hinge there. Then I've got my pre-moistened seed starting mix or indoor potting soil, and we're just going to fill it up. Well, not all the way. Pack it in, and you want about an inch at the top that's got no soil in it. Now we're going to take our seeds and just look at the back of the seed packet to find out how deep to sow them. These say surface sow, so that's what we're going to do. Take the seed and just sprinkle it over the surface. Press them down. And we're going to give it a good misting to make sure that that seed not only is damp, but just it brings it into intimate contact with the soil. All right, we're just going to dry this off, anything that got damp. Don't forget to label it so you remember what it is. And then we're going to close it up. Then we're going to use the duct tape, starting at the hinge and just running it all the way around that seam. We're going to leave the cap off for ventilation, and it will let rain or snow get in there. And then set it somewhere where it's going to get full sun. And you can do the same thing with any type of container. Now, if it's totally clear like this, you'll be able to see what's happening on the inside unless it fogs up, or you can use the hole to just take a look. And then when they are sprouted and up and growing, when you're after your danger of freeze, you can still get some frosts, won't hurt them. Then all you have to do is open it up. I dropped it on the way over here, so hopefully everything's still okay inside. And you can leave it open now and let it continue to grow on. Make sure you keep it watered. And when they're ready to go in the garden, just prick them out, transplant them. Simple, right? Well, I've got an even easier way to do it. But before we get to that, let's talk about what seeds are best for this, what seeds may not work, and when to do this depending on your zone. Not all seeds are good for winter sowing. Any kind of summer warm season vegetable or flower, so warm season annuals, you don't want to do this with those. Any perennial plant seeds, either vegetable or ornamental, or even annuals that are cool season, will all be excellent choices for winter sowing. Now, depending on your zone, this method works better at certain times versus other times. Now, for zones 8, 9, and 10, where you don't get any kind of snow cover on the ground, you can go ahead and do this without the greenhouses. You can just sprinkle your seeds on the ground. When rains are adequate, you don't need to water them, but you always want to, check the moisture level. Last year I had all my perennials out here and they got a ton of hail and cold, and they did just fine and filled up our cottage garden. But if you still want to put them in their little mini greenhouse, that's fine. Sometimes that will keep them warmer so they start faster. It'll also help keep more moisture in the planting area itself. So for any of these ways in zones 8, 9, 10, you can sow the seeds anywhere from September to February. If you're in zone 7 and below, you can do this anytime between January and April. And again, you don't have to worry when you do it between those dates because the seeds will come up when it's time for them to come up. So you do need a little patience. So for the second, much easier way of doing this, you just need some potting soil again, your seeds, a label, and some kind of plastic tote. This is a drawer that's clear. This is a little plastic shoebox. Things you find around the house that you're not using or things like that that you can pick up real cheap. What you can do is just clear a little space out and press this into the ground to make a little template of where you need to put this, and then just sprinkle some potting soil over it. Sprinkle your seeds over that. Now we're not going to be transplanting, so sprinkle them a little bit conservatively so you don't have to thin. Now this type of seed, again, we're not going to cover with soil. We're just going to put this on top of it. You might want to put a rock or a brick on top just so it doesn't blow away. And that's that. It can get snowed on, rained on. It's going to collect the moisture from the ground around it so you don't have to take it off and water it. It's just going to make a little greenhouse in there. And then in spring or late winter, when the weather is all clear, remove your greenhouse and let them grow as they want. If you want to know how to use that same idea on a much bigger scale, like an in-ground bed or a raised bed like this one, click this video right here to learn how I made this. Super easy, and you can too. I'll see you next time.